I didn't plan on not drinking for 2 years. I figured I'd just not drink for a bit, for no other reason than to just see what it was like. It can be so easy to get into, routine and to do things to our bodies without even thinking about what we're doing. So when I first started this break, a week went by, and then 2, and then a month, 6 months. Then I had a Christmas without drinking. I had a birthday without drinking and other social events. And every time someone asked me if I wanted to drink, I just kind of made a dumb joke. I would say, "Oh no, I'm pregnant." Some people got it, some people didn't, but whatever. But for the first time in my life, I didn't feel obligated to drink because there was no conversation to be had about it. After a few months in, it kind of became more of a game, something I laughed at. I then started to wonder how long I could go on not drinking any alcohol. Throughout the process, I realized a number of things. Number one, I realized that I was having a couple of drinks as an excuse to relax. I've always, at least since I started this business, worked really hard. And so it would be justified, right? Work hard, go home, have a couple of beers, and that's how I was using it. Number two, I realized that I was pretty numb to, the difference between drinking or not drinking. I was raised around it, and then, in my late teens to my early 20s, I played in a band that a lot of the time was like paid with beer. It was just something that I always did. And I never really thought about whether or not I wanted to drink or didn't want to drink. So this became like an experiment. What is the purpose of drinking alcohol? Is it to relax? Is it to celebrate? Is it to cope with stress? Is it just something that we do socially? Now, of course, I know I'm speaking to a very specific type of person, someone later than 20-something who has gotten the partying out of their system because, when I was in university, the entire intention of drinking was to get plastered and not know where the night was going to take you. So I'm not talking to somebody who's in that hardcore party phase still. I'm talking to somebody who's like me, who's just, a living, working, breathing adult who has alcohol in their life. Now, as an adult, the drinking thing is kind of weird. The relationship with it changes. Throughout the process of not drinking, I returned to what it must have felt like to be a kid. I mean, there's certain things that I remember from being a kid, but to be at a family gathering where everyone's drinking and you aren't because, you're a kid, that's a weird experience as an adult when you first do it and you're used to just sipping away whenever you're hanging out with your family. When you're on a vacation as a kid and your parents always have something in their sippy cup, you're just hanging out, doing your thing because you're a kid. Doing that as an adult, it's kind of weird. There are infinite instances throughout those 2 years where I was around people who were drinking. Vacations, holidays, social gathering, even just, a relaxing evening on the weekend. What started as curiosity turned into a full-blown exploration into my consciousness. I wondered how I would feel and how I would operate in situations where historically I always had a few drinks, but in this instance I would be stone cold sober. Now, around last October, I started thinking and saying aloud, I think I'm ready to have a drink pretty soon. I had lived without it for quite a while, and by the end of this sober stint, I had realized what I was really looking for. I wanted to reestablish my relationship with alcohol. Again, I was always someone who just didn't give alcohol a second thought, and the relationship I wanted to have with it was that it was just kind of there, and it was celebratory. It's something to enjoy after a hard week of work or when there's an occasion worth pairing it with. So in the realm of an occasion that you pair it with, in December I proposed to my fiancé under this waterfall, and remember for a couple of months I've been saying I think I'm ready to have a drink pretty soon, but it's got to be for a good enough reason. And we were in the truck driving home, and I said that let's go home and have a glass of wine. And for me, this is what alcohol consumption for a 30-something-year-old has become. It's not a coping mechanism or a crutch to help you fall asleep during the week. It's something to enjoy a couple times over the weekend after you've had a great week of working hard and crossing things off your list. It's something you just slip in if you cut the grass on a hot day and you have a beer. It's something to have with friends when you're celebrating, like at a wedding or a birthday party. It's something that's just there, and it shouldn't be given serious thought or concern about. Now, if I'm out and somebody asks me if I want to have a drink, whether it's at a dinner party or someone else's house, my go-to is usually something like, oh no, I quit drinking and driving. And like the sorry I'm pregnant joke. Some people get it, some people don't. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. Anyways, at the end of those 2 years of not drinking, this is what I've learned. Everyone's relationship with alcohol is different, and my experiences won't be the same as yours. But unless we're talking about the extremes of alcoholism or someone who's never touched a drop of alcohol in their entire lives, there's this weird middle ground where it doesn't really get talked about. Taking a couple of years off drinking is one of the most interesting experiments that I've ever done. Ever since I was able to drink, I never really gave it a second thought, but only in not having something do you understand what that thing really is. And to be able to have something or not have something, and to not care either way, I think that's the most valuable thing on the planet. It's a certain level of detachment over a thing that builds mental resilience. For the extremes, for the alcoholics or the stone cold sober people who have never drank, alcohol is a different world. But for the rest of us, and at least for me, it's a nice treat, and I've learned just not to take it too seriously. I hope you guys like this one. If you don't drink, then good for you. If you do drink, then let's have a drink sometime. No, I'm just kidding. Then again, this wasn't intended to be any kind of advice or guide of how you need to approach your alcohol consumption. But I will say that life is short, and I like where I'm at with it. To me, developing a healthy relationship with alcohol is a lot easier than fighting it and saying, oh no, I don't drink. But unless you have a certifiable problem, the only issue with alcohol is self-control. Anything you put into your body is about self-control. You could sit and have 10 cheeseburgers in a row because they're delicious, but that would make you feel like shit, so you only have one. Thanks again for watching. I hope this gave you something to meditate on, and I will see you in the next one.